Welcome back to another episode of Passion, Pain, and Progress. I'm your host, Darnell Turner, and on today's episode, we have some amazing people. We have my guests, Shane Porter and Val Porter. I've so. First of all, I met you guys through Victory Multisport, which was a team that I joined to help out with my endurance endeavors. And along the way, I've just met some great and amazing people. So introduce yourselves to my audience, and just tell us a little bit about yourselves.
I'm Shane. Just really started running probably year and a half ago, but find joy in it, and now it's one of those things that if I don't do it, I feel off.
Valerie, we have four babies, four kids, ages 7 and under, 8 and under now.
Yeah.
So obviously before anything else, we are, besides being married, we're parents. And we, like I think a lot of other parents, struggled after you have kids, and especially after you have multiple kids, and especially after you have multiple kids in a short period of time. You start to lose some of yourself in the process of becoming a parent and raising kids. And that happened to us. And probably, about 2 years ago, I started to kind of get back in shape a little bit. I hadn't run in years. And even when I did run, I was very casual. It was just kind of for fun. Like I would go run 4 miles and then try to run a half marathon and hope for the best. But we kind of buckled down, started eating better, started going to the gym more consistently. And I ran the Pittsburgh half marathon and kind of drug him along. And he was like, I'm not running. This is not, no, like if I'm running for baseball, yeah. If I'm running for football, sure. But well, who just runs to run? I'm like, you'll see. He loves Pittsburgh. I'm like, it's a good time. You got it. You run the city. You see everything. It's gorgeous. And he didn't stop one time during his first half. He
Oh,
blew through it. I know, like, again, ran 4 or 5 miles beforehand, at one time. That was his longest run. Crushed the half and was like, all right, so how do we sign up for the next one? Like, they do this every year, right? And it's, we, it's just, it's much easier to do sometimes, I think, because we both understand it. At the same time, because of the kids also much harder. So we are want to be endurance athletes. We try to be endurance athletes and just trying to do all the things.
wow. So you guys answered my first question, because my first question was going to be who had the endurance bug first, because it's always, when you see couples, it's like always the one that's like, okay, I'm doing this, and it's like you got to come with me, and I think I'm the one, and then I like drug my wife along too, like, so she did her first 5K, her turkey trot last year, and
Yes.
I've been trying to get her back, but it's been a struggle.
It's not for everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I completely agree. So, with that being said, having kids, how do you see your journey affecting your kids? Do they want to run as well? Do they see like you guys having that bug, and excitement around the races? How do they feel about it?
Yeah, they love it. They, especially our older son and our younger daughter, they're obsessed with it now. It's really cool to see. Our older daughter, she likes it, but
She's like me. She
yeah,
enjoys the social aspect of it. She wants to. They're both on our older two are on the cross country and track team for their school. And she, I think, participates because it's an activity her friends are in.
Nice.
It's something that she can do and she can go see them while she's there. She can hang out with everybody and have a good time. But our son, I think if you ask him tomorrow, do you want to go run a 10K? He doesn't even know what a 10K is, but you said run. So
he's good.
he wants to go. Yeah. It's
Yeah, it's really cool to see them. They really enjoy it. And like my my sister got them for Christmas new running shoes. So like they're super excited. Like got some Sauconys and stuff. So they're super
little
excited.
kids ones.
Yeah, they're super excited. We love seeing it, and it makes it fun for us to do it with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that I've noted, like especially in my family, like during race, especially during race week, it's like you almost feel like that like before the game. Like you're like about to enter the Stiller game. It's like it's the week of the Stiller game. Everybody's getting together. You got to get your nutrition together. So it's always fun to see that. And for me, it's cool to see my son watching me do it because you're like we always I feel like as parents we struggle with trying to find that healthy path between like the Oreo cookies and the and broccoli. So you're like, okay, so now I get to show you what it's like to like kind of like lead up to a healthy lifestyle instead of just being like, hey, if you don't eat your vegetables, you don't get strong. It's like, well, now I'm showing you like you can eat cookies if you want, but it might hurt your stomach during the run,
Right.
Yeah.
or things like that. And that's something that I had to figure out in the
Yeah,
bed.
no, our son Benny, he pickiest eater ever. Like his diet consists of peanut butter jelly, banana, most types of cereal, maybe some yogurt, and chicken nuggets and French fries. That's it. And as he gets more into running and he wants to go faster, and that's our biggest pit to him is, you have to eat well to be able to run well. You have to fuel your body. So I've definitely noticed in the last couple months with him, we used to try to get him to try things, and one time it wasn't a joke, but Shane was like, we're gonna have to call the ambulance and they're gonna have to come get you if you don't eat, because you're gonna die because you don't eat. And it went as far as like he was like, okay, I'm sorry guys, I'll see you later. He thought
He
the
got his coat on and everything. I'm like, oh no, I don't know how to get out of this one.
but, but now it's to the point where we say, okay, you have to try something, you got to take a couple bites, you might not love it, but you got to try it. And he will try new things now, understanding that it could make him stronger so that he can run better, run faster. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I completely I identify with that. My son my son is autistic and he loves pizza. Like I mean, he almost has pizza every day. Every day. And we're in that mode where we're like, I don't want to take away what you are eating, but I also got to introduce. I'm like, how do we slip some spinach up in that pizza? Or how do we like can we
Hide
make
it
a
under the cheese.
broccoli crust? Yeah, like
That's what we had to do with him. We told him that they were just chicken fries, but like we said but they were actually like fish sticks, just to like. And he was like, "Oh, these aren't bad," and we were like, "See."
Yeah, just gotta try new things.
yeah, once they get the taste, it's like okay, all right, now I
Yeah.
can just you might get the score and be like, no, my mom said that's fish sticks, and they're like, "It's not fish sticks. That's cool. So one thing that you said, you were like, we're trying to be athletes, right, or trying to be endurance athletes, and this is why I love this podcast because I think I want to highlight people like us. We take that approach to do endurance was very serious, and a lot of the athletes are getting paid. We're not getting paid. We still have to work. We have 9 to 5s, and we have to fit that work life balance. Also, having being parents, but also where are you going to fit in running 10 miles? So how do you guys
Mhm.
fit this into your schedule, and how do you guys like with both of you being endurance athletes? How do you say who runs in the morning, who runs at night, who has the kid? How does that work?
Well,
Thankfully, he's a morning person. He
yeah.
has always been a morning person. I am not. Like, don't talk to me before 9 a.m. So that has been that's been really big because he gets up and he does a lot of his runs and trainings early in the morning. That's a huge benefit because before the day even starts, he's already got 3, 4, 5, 6 miles in, whatever his speed work. And, he's good. I'm very grateful. I'm a part-time stay-at-home mom, so I'm home during the day and I'm able to get to the YMCA where they have kid watch during the day, so I'm able to get a lot of like runs and bikes in during the morning. But that kind of has a wrench thrown in it sometimes too, like if the kid watch room is closed or if the kids aren't feeling good. There's a lot of revolving pieces that go into it, and when we were training for Marine Corps Marathon, that was really tough. There were some times with that where I don't. That was the grace of God. That took a village, because we don't have a lot of like support as far as like childcare. It's us, or once in a while his mom is able to help. Thankfully, she is the saint, but that's about it. So we really had to be very mindful, I think, of our time. We would very openly communicate it. Okay, on Sunday or Monday, hey, what's your plan look like for the week? Okay, here's when you're going to do your long run. Okay, you're going to do your Saturday, I'm going to do mine Sunday. Or oh, we have stuff going on Sunday. Okay, well, we'll do Saturday. So you go out at 6:30 Saturday, and then I'll run at 5 o'clock in the evening Saturday. That
A lot of
a
communication.
lot of communication, and once in a blue moon, we do have a really great group of friends. So there were a couple times where, like our friend Gabby was able to watch the kids one day, so I could get a run done like on a Friday afternoon, because we had some travel in for the weekend. But it's like putting a puzzle together, and
Yeah.
not just like a puzzle, like a 3D puzzle, because it's not just like this. There's so many facets and so many pieces that kind of have to fit together. And okay, you've got to be done with your workout by this time so that I can go, and then I've got to be done with it by this time because now we've got to go to dinner for somebody's birthday. And it
Yeah,
just,
there's a lot of revolving factors, that's for sure. Especially with the kids' activities, then trying to figure out
yeah.
their activities in the evenings. So yeah, there's times I just get up super early, make sure that I get it in so that when I get home, she can go, and then we can go to the kids' activities. So it's a lot.
Or I know it's like 8 o'clock and he bought me like a nice headlamp and a nice light up running vest so that I can run in the evenings when it's dark after everybody's heading to bed, because you have to do it when you can do it. So
So take me. So you both did the marathon together, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take me to that day. How was it feeling? Like, just game day, start to finish. How did you guys maneuver around that day?
Well, I think it kind of started the day before, and they had a kids race. So Marine Corps Marathon, the day before the marathon, has a kids race. It's a 1 mile race for kids. It's not timed, but the kids all run it. Everybody gets a medal. It's got a great finish line. There are Marines all around the course high-fiving the kids. And if there's any kids struggling, they'll hop in and run with the kids back to get them to the finish with their parents. Super secure. They come into a tent. You have to have like almost like a ticket you get when your kid goes in, and you have to give them that ticket to get your kids out. So very secure, really cool. At the
Yeah.
Pentagon, I think it was at the
It
Pentagon
was.
parking lot.
Yep.
And I was more nervous for that than the actual Marine Corps Marathon, because Fallon and Benny again run on their cross country team. Hallie is too young. She's not in school yet. She'll be in kindergarten next year. So it was going to be her first race. Now, this is a kid who we would go to Fallon and Benny their cross country practices, and as a 4-year-old, she hops in on their practices. She made like this best friend with this little girl in kindergarten. She runs with this girl all the time, and she would get upset sometimes when we would go to the meets because she couldn't run. We're like, listen, next year you can do this. So we fibbed about her age to get her in the race because she had to be 5. Which our son was like, you lied. You guys lied. I'm like, no, 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 it's okay. Like, we just were trying to get her, in the race. He's like, but you lied about it. We're like, yeah, but that's because they want to make sure that everybody who's running can run a mile, and we know that she can, so it'll be okay. He's like, but you guys lied. We're like, it's okay. It's okay this one time. So the day before the race, our race was, I think, for me at least, was even cooler than the marathon, because again, Fallon was kind of like, I don't know. Benny was like, yeah, had this headband thing on. This Captain America had these like
Sunglasses.
looked like Oakley sunglasses, like he was ready to go. And it was just really cool to see them lining up at the start line, going out. Hallie again, she's 4, and her face the entire time like looked determined, but she had the biggest smile on her face, and that, I think, more than anything, for me at least, was
Yeah.
the coolest part of the weekend, because they watched us train really hard in rain, in heat, in humidity, on vacation. They watched us bust our butts, and for them to want to be involved in that way was just a really exciting feeling. So for me, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then my sister lives in Washington, D.C., so we don't see her super often. So that afternoon beforehand, we were able to meet up with her, had some drinks, had some snacks, and then had a great big carb loaded dinner. And his mom had come, which was, thank God. Thank God for her. And thank God, shout out to Wonderful Wagons, because the kids were all able to pile into a wagon. And the morning of, we were able to just get up, get ourselves ready. We had 3 other friends who were staying at the hotel with us. We all went up in the morning, got on the metro. And I think that's, for me at least, that's when it became real. I was like, oh, like, I guess we're actually here. We're going to do this. And,
Doing it.
you
Yeah.
come, you ride the metro. We found some more friends on the way in. So now you're walking through security. They're checking, making sure nobody's bringing anything they shouldn't be bringing to the race. And we were able to get there early enough that we kind of found a spot to park ourselves like right by the porta johns. Like, so we had front row. So anybody who needed to go, yes,
Yeah.
that was clutch, so that we were able to really make sure that we weren't waiting for more than like 5 minutes if you needed to get into the bathroom. We watched the sunrise.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Got kind of stretched out with everybody. And for me, at least, then that's when I think then it all hit me. I was like, oh my God, we're going to run a marathon today. Like, shit.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah, you start walking to the start line, and they had the planes fly over like from the start line, and you just kind of like got the chills, and you're like, wow, this all this hard work is about to happen right now.
And in every moment that you're in that race, it sucks because like now the moment's gone. Oh man, I just reached mile 1. I'm never going to be at mile 1 of my first marathon ever again. And I'm again, like I'm a very social runner. So I like to run and take all the pictures and high five everybody and tell people I love their shoes or I love their running shirt, whatever they got on for the day. And it was just like I was trying to be really focused because I had a plan and I wanted to stick to my plan. But it was a really hard balance for me, at least, because I'm like, I don't want to miss all these things, but I don't want to not be focused enough to do what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's a tough thing because you like you said, you worked so hard and now it's here and it's flying by. It was kind of insane. It was very surreal, but it was really warm, and it was, I shouldn't say really warm. It was warm, but not like killer warm. For Western PA, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
The humidity was really high, and I think a lot of people weren't acclimated to that or used to that. And the most frustrating part of the race for me was that everybody, all summer long, every time I would die on a run and feel like I was so dehydrated, because I did that to myself quite a few times, they were like, don't worry. Summer marathon training makes for fall PRs. It's going to be so nice on your marathon day, that fall weather. No.
It was humid.
It was rough. That was rough. But I mean, he's still like, there's a part of the course where you're kind of going out there. It's an out and back. So I'm running out and I'm like, I'm looking at mine. I'm kind of doing like runner's math in my head. And I'm like, Shane should be coming. I saw the pace groups and I'm like, Shane should be coming through anytime. So it was really cool. I got to see him going past me and like give him a big wave and a big shout out. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was cool to see. I kept looking for you.
What was the hardest for both of you guys? What was that moment? What was the hardest part of the marathon for you?
No, you go first.
I think you never really realize when they say you hit the wall until. Sorry.
We got kids, you know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
It'll be okay. Yeah.
But you never understand when they say you hit that wall until you actually are there hitting that wall. And it definitely and at that point too, my legs were starting to, get tired. And don't ask me how, but somehow I got a stone in my shoe. And I was like, let me just try seeing if I can keep going. I'll, just shove it underneath my toes and keep going. No, it didn't work. So I had to stop, take my shoe off, get the rock out. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. My legs were like, you're not going at that pace you're going. You're going to have to give me a minute here. So, but that was probably the realizing when they say you hit the wall. Yeah, you definitely feel it in your legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was kind of twofold. Because again, the day was really warm and I know my limitations and I don't do very well in super, super hot, super humid conditions. I know that about myself. I try to dial it back because I still have to get up tomorrow morning. Like you see people who go out and blow things out of the water. I still have to get up tomorrow morning with 4 kids and like make sure everybody's functioning. So I can't afford to put myself into a position where I'm going to not be able to function the next day.
Right.
So I knew that even like what my normal was, I was like, okay, well, we're going to go right underneath of that just to kind of, try to take it easy and make sure that we're where we need to be to cross the finish line. My stomach flipped during the race, and that became a really big mental hurdle for me because I've never had that happen in all my runs and all my trainings and all the things that I've trained to eat with. I've never had my stomach flip. So I was really at almost like an impasse of like, well, what do I do? So I hopped over to the side. I yacked all over the place and I was like, okay, well, let's keep moving. Let's keep going. And I found a friend of mine. She almost passed out, so we got her kind of nursed back to health before they could cart her off the course. And her husband was texting her and was like, "You guys are good. You have so much time because there's gauntlets that you have to
Okay.
beat during the course." And he told her at one point, he was like, "You guys have well over an hour. Like, you're doing great." So she was like, "Slow down. Let's walk a little bit. Make sure that your stomach is okay. Get yourself good." So we did. We were doing like some walk run intervals, and I just kept wanting to get to like mile 17 because I knew his mom and the kids and our friends were going to be at mile 17 waiting. And I was like, I just got to get there. Like, I had left them my BioFreeze and Uncrustables. I didn't want to carry a ton of stuff on me. So I had given them a couple things because I was like, I'll repack whatever I need to when I see them, and then we can keep going. Well, unfortunately, they started to close the gauntlets early because someone had to get medevaced off the course.
Oh, wow.
So I got detoured. And where they detour us, there's around mile 17, they cut down like the Washington, or the mall. They cut down the mall, like in front of
by the Capitol.
yeah, by the Capitol building. And then it comes back out. It's about 2 miles. And instead of sending us that way, they diverted us the other way. So I'm going and I see like mile 17, we're running. The next thing I know, I see mile 20 and I see all these people coming up. I'm like, well, what's going on? And I just thought dumbly, I'm like, maybe this is just the 50K. And I see mile 20 and I'm like, well, wait a minute. My friend's like, well, where are you? We're waiting for you. There's nobody else coming. Are you okay? So I was able to run the rest of the race, but I'm not considered like an official finisher for that race because I missed it by minutes from like, so this is the normal cutoff time. They bumped it just a little bit shorter. If I would have known, you know what I mean? I would have done a little differently. That was a really tough, for me, mental hurdle to get over because physically I felt okay other than my stomach churning. But I mean, that's your stomach. Like, I could force my legs and my mind to go through that. So that was a really, I don't want to say a slap in the face, but it was almost like a
Punch in the
sorry.
gut.
Yeah, sorry about your luck. Like,
Yeah.
we know
Yeah.
you trained all summer, but like,
It's a
and we
tough
know
pill
you
to
were where you
swallow.
needed to be, but you're still not technically a finisher. So I kind of really was in my head for a hot minute there. And I was like, well, what's like, I'm just going to sit down. Like, they can just take me to the finish line. I'm done. This is stupid. This is a huge waste of my time. Why? What's the point? And then there's a big party. You get into one section. It's called Crystal Springs, Crystal City, Crystal
Crystal City.
Springs. And there's a big party. There's a tent that has like literally it's a fireball tent, branded fireball, and just there's beer and fireball flying and music, and the people and their energy there kind of reminded me like, okay, it's okay. We can either sit down and we can be mad, or we can just go and make the best of it. And there was a table, people had like candy and cowbell. So I walked over and I was like, can I have a cowbell? They were like, yeah, sure. So I stood there and rang my cowbell and passed out candy to people for a while. Cause that's where I find my joy in races, is like the encouragement of other people. That makes me happy. So I kind of found a little bit of that. And then I was like, okay, now we can go. But that was really hard in the moment. And I almost wish that I would have had the moment instead of like, my legs are going to give out. But it was a mental toughness day for me
Yeah.
that day. So it happens.
I know you said your decision to keep going was the party and just the mindset of just being like I know I finished. I know in my mind I finished. What was your decision to be like, okay, I know I got the rock in my foot. I know that I'm bunking, and I know that you know now I got introduced to the wall. What was that decision in your head to be like, you know what, but I'm gonna keep rolling. I'm gonna keep rolling with it.
The competitiveness in myself. I just, that's my biggest I always say, even on like slow runs and stuff, I say, just gonna take. I'm too competitive with myself, and it's one of those things. I just have to get over that hurdle, and that's exactly what I just told myself. I say, hey, we're here. You trained all day for what, 8 months?
5 months, like 4 or 5.
Yeah, and I said, this is what it all comes down to. This is that moment, and you just got to get over it. And I just kept pushing.
I think that was tough though too, because we kind of rolled from like the Pittsburgh half marathon right into a full marathon training. So they're really, I mean, I want to say we maybe let ourselves have like 2 weeks or so, maybe 3 weeks in May where we kind of like notched it. We dialed it back a little bit, but there was really no break in the year from going from like one training block
To the
into
next.
the next. So I think that was also a big thing too. Like, you know that you can do that. You know, you literally just spent this entire year, like you can suck it up for an hour or for 30 minutes or for however much longer that's going to be. you can do that to prove to yourself that you're going to get there.
Yep.
Right. And sometimes your training runs are harder than the actual marathon. That's the crazy part. So it's like without the conditions, I always think about that my last marathon. The conditions were perfect, but my stomach flipped and I'm like, there was some marathon trainings that I had better runs than I had during my marathon. But if it wasn't for that one gel or for that one nutrition that I missed, or maybe I didn't get enough water, you would have been had like a perfect run. So it's like dealing with that chaos. I feel like running a marathon is trying to control chaos. Like you're
Which
literally
like you, I feel like that's why we're, I hate to say this, and it's not a knock on anybody who doesn't have children, but I think if you have kids or maybe you work in an environment like a work environment that's super stressful and chaotic, it almost, I think, mentally was beneficial to us because we know that. We live that every day of our lives. We thrive, I think, in that environment. So for us, I agree. It's just like, okay, this is the chaos. Like, what's the best plan of attack to get us from here to there?
exactly. What has marathon training and endurance training helped you in your personal life? You know, whether it's in a relationship with your significant other and work. What have you taken from marathon training and converted it into how you handle life?
Oh well. Uh,
For me personally, I'm late for everything. Like everything. I was born 2 weeks late. It's just it's ingrained in who I am. I don't try to be, even the days I try to be on time and early for things, like a baby poops his pants, or like there's just always something, and it's not always things within my control. And because of how diligent we had to be about training and fitting everything in, and just in being disciplined in training, I have found myself becoming less of a late person and more of a plan ahead and be ready person. Like I just went and did a run yesterday morning, and this would never happen before. All my stuff was packed the night before, ready to go. Normally, like if I've got to be somewhere at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna wake up at 6 o'clock. I'm gonna start trying to pack my bag at 6:30 and roll out the door at 6:35. Like that's, but it's taught me to just eliminate what I can, like the fluff that I don't need to stress about, so that I can just be more restful when I want to get rest, be more relaxed when I want to get rest, maybe to spend more time with him when we do have time. So I'm not trying to do 15 other things. Like I think just it's made me more cognizant of my time and more intentional with it.
yeah. Instead of learning to kind of just roll with the punches, because you never know what training you might come against or what's going to happen with the kids during their activities or at home, or there's never a dull moment, so you just kind of learn to roll with them.
Which was big for you, I think,
Yeah,
too, because
he's
he's very structured.
yes,
He's very OCD about things. So I think
yeah,
that was huge for you to be able to, and probably really hard. So I give you big
yeah.
kudos for that.
Still learning to roll with them, but yeah, I like having my ducks in a row, and when one's not in line, I tend to tweak a little bit. So
Yeah.
I've just kind of learned to just roll with it, and not everything's going to be how you expect it to be.
Tell me a little bit about how you guys do nutrition. If you're anything like me, you try to be structured, but I love pizza and I
You,
love other
I'm
things.
with
I love peanut butter. So
you
how do you
too.
guys how do you guys go about nutrition?
I mean, I would love to say that we are as dialed in as we used to be.
We were we were very structured for a while.
Oh
I mean,
man.
we were
Like
planning
we
meals.
would cook, I would cook a bunch of like ground turkey, make a bunch of like chicken breast, like boil a bunch of chicken breast, cook a bunch of like lean ground beef. And so it was all ready on like Sunday or Monday in the fridge. And then I would make a butt ton of noodles or rice, just plain. We had all the sugar-free sauces. I'm really big into I can't remember the brand. Uh but there's a brand of sugar-free sauces, and they've got everything on it.
The
They've got like
Q's?
yes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. I love that stuff because they've got like the Chick-fil-A sauce, they've got a teriyaki sauce, an Italian seasoning blend, barbecue. So I think that was big. We eliminated not all, but we eliminated a lot of sugars to try to just cut back where we could. And then for me, especially because I'm a female and it's not always as easy for females as males, I weighed a lot of my food. We have like a food scale. So, and then by doing that consistently, it's easier to eyeball. You can look at something and be like, okay, that's about a half a cup. So for a while, usually I would weigh stuff, but we just always made sure we had like a bag of frozen steam fresh veggies so that we could just throw that in the microwave and go. Stuff that would be easy for us to fit into our chaotic lives. Because here's the thing, it'd be beautiful if the kids would eat this stuff too, because then I only had to cook one meal and we'd be done. No, because the kids don't want that.
Nope.
But during marathon training, we did get a little lax because we just needed so many more calories and so many more carbs. So, we really got into like Sheetz DoorDash, and their home style chicken sandwich was usually a good go-to, with maybe or maybe not the Oreo milkshake, the cookies and cream milkshake. Just as a treat, right? As a treat, because we ran really hard, 20 miles. It's not easy. You deserve it.
It makes it worth it. You can have, a whole tub of ice cream because, hey, guess what? I ran today.
I burned the whole thing and then some. No, but we're actually getting ready to like buckle back down, dial it back in. And a lot of that just comes from like pre-planning, pre-preparing. Like I'll get like a turkey breast tenderloin. I'll cook that. And then, we'll just cut off pieces of that during the week, because if you, what is it? Fail to plan to fail.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's, if we aren't prepared in some sort of way, then we're going to eat garbage. We're going to eat all the frozen pizzas, and we're going to go to McDonald's and get like whatever's on the dollar menu because it's easy and it's fast. Well, if it's prepared and it's in the fridge, that's just as fast. So it eliminates some of the excuse of, well, I just don't have the time. No, it's there. We might not want it, but we're going to be thankful for it later. So
Always ask my guest, what is one song that helped you out through your training block, or a book that you've read that helped you out along the way? So like the song could be anything that helps you get through, and the book can be anything. Like, if have you read that just kind of inspired you through your journey?
There's one song I like. It's called Roots by Imagine Dragons.
Okay.
And it just kind of they say, I'm going back to my roots. So, I've always liked running, just not without chasing a ball. But I've always been all over the place, and kind of listening to that, just, hey, you realize, go back to your roots. Why did you start enjoying this? And you just kind of have that in your head that, you find the reasons why you fell in love with the sport. So that's my song that I like.
I like that.
I really love Beyonce's song "Girls Who Run the World, Girls." And I can be in a very dark place on a run, on a bike, and that song comes on and I'm like, all right, now we're ready to take it up a couple notches. I don't want to say like I'm a feminist and like girl power, but girl power. I think that especially for moms, as someone, you think, okay, well, now I'm supposed to be a mom and I need to stay home and I need to take care of my kids, and that's it. Your whole world should just revolve around their kids. And it does, and that's very important. But I think that moms forget a lot that they are just as important as their kids. So I just like to kind of remind myself, like, girls run the world, and as strong as I am, like, I'm showing my daughters how strong they can be, and I'm showing my sons how strong a woman can be and how they can uplift women to be strong, and to not even just in running, but just to have a voice, to be a person, to be a leader, to stick up for people who can't stick up for themselves, to be the change you want to see in things around you. Like, women are very, that's been a big thing in the last couple of years, but it's multifaceted for me. But that song comes on, I'm just like, okay, like, it's go time. I'm freaking ready now.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you guys have something that inspires you, that kind of, like you said, to your roots. It gets back to the roots. I'm the same way with football. Running, like, I've always done sports and stuff like that, but like getting back to the roots, getting back to the joy that you had when you were doing it, getting back to, the essence of being, a human, being a woman, and adding that to your sport. I think that's beautiful. And I think that's how, a lot of people should take that inspiration to get them into running, because
I try to tell people it's hard to explain, but when you're out there, when you're 10 miles in and you can't take an Uber home, you can't, no one's coming to pick you up. There's something inspiring by knowing that like you're in a tough position and you can get yourself back to where you started
Right.
from. And I feel like those is the roots. Those are, that essence that gets us back to where we started. So I really love both of those songs, and I'm gonna listen to them. I know my wife loves Beyonce, so I know she'll play. She'll be like, "Oh, you want to hear that song?"
It's catchy. It almost like has that beat to it that it just every step you're kind of just on pace with it. It's
Nice.
a good song.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's the other thing too, is like, because you said that, like, pace is, I think everybody thinks, oh, I can't be a runner. I can't do that. I can't go fast. You don't have to go fast. Just take one step and then take the next step and take the next step. And then maybe tomorrow those steps will be a little faster. And then the next day they might be a little slower. But like, if you're taking the steps, that's the beginning. That's the first step. That's how it all starts. And you don't have to go fast to be a runner. You don't have to go far to be a runner. You just have to get up and you have to go, and you have to mentally be ready to put your mind to work, not just your body. But like you said, like, you're 10 miles out, nobody's getting you. So you've got to find a way to mentally come to terms with that and be like, okay, well, now we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, that's it. Her and her friend always say, "Forward is the pace. It don't matter what pace it is."
That's how
But-
it's supposed. No one's sending a chopper into like a residential area to come to get you from your room. So what is your best advice to anyone getting into endurance sports? Any couple that's getting into endurance sports together? What is your best advice that you can give to someone who just says, "Hey, you know what? It's the new year. I'm gonna go buy some Nikes or buy some Asics. I'm gonna just go out here and give it my all." What is your best advice for the year? Because I feel like a lot of people give advice and be like, "Hey, you're starting that new journey." You being as though you started your journey, you've been in it, you've been through the hard times, you've been through the struggle of a training session, you've been in the struggle of a marathon gone wrong. What is your advice to give to somebody, especially in those moments when it gets tough? What is your advice to give to somebody when they're saying, "Hey, I'm right out and bushy and I'm ready to go"? What is your advice to give to that person?
Don't get discouraged. Not everything's gonna be A, B, and C. You're gonna. There's one day you're gonna be like, "Man, that run felt amazing. I felt like I could go forever." Tomorrow you could be like, "Man, this is a struggle," and that's okay. That's okay. It doesn't. Not ever. She's really helped me with that because I've always just thought, you know, I'm going for a run. I got to do it, get done as fast as I can. No, it doesn't matter what pace you're at. It Not every run or anything you do in life is gonna go the way you thought it would. But don't get discouraged. Get up, put those shoes back on, and go at it again.
I think for me, like you talked about lacing up, so get some Nikes, get some Asics. If you think for 2.5 seconds that you might want to start walking or running, besides any of that, go to a shoe store and get your feet scanned. Because I think that a lot of people, I'm guilty of it. Like I said, when I used to run like 4 miles and then I'd go run a half marathon because I thought I could, I was wearing shoes that were wrong. My knees were all screwed up. My hips were all screwed up because I wasn't wearing shoes that were working for me. So the shoes that you wear affect so many things about your body and the mechanics of how your body works. And people are like, oh, it hurts so bad. It's all gonna hurt. It's all gonna hurt sometimes. There's gonna be days, it doesn't matter. But if you get your feet scanned and they look at your gait, they look at how you walk, try the shoes on, make sure you've got something that's comfortable, because that can be the first big discouragement right there. Is you went out for a mile walk and your ankle feels like it's broken. Well, okay, yeah, you're wearing Nike running shoes, but those really aren't Nike running shoes. Those are like Nike cross trainers that you can wear to the gym to lift in. And that's way different. The shoes that you're lifting in should be much different than the shoes that you are running in. So that's kind of like my big one. But my second one, I think, is just to maybe make like a long-term plan. It's great to have a goal, and set it. I don't want to say set it so big that like, you're going to fail, but don't worry about if you're going to fail. Like pick something that's crazy. Like when I decided I was going to run a marathon, like I thought that was the most insane thing. I didn't have any idea how I was going to cross the finish line. I had no idea how this was going to work, but I was like, that scares the shit out of me. So we're going to do this. We're going to go run this marathon. And along the way, build a couple like sub goals, because when you're hitting the sub goals, you're not just looking at the long term. You're like, okay, well, I've got this short term thing here and I want to run a 5K or 10K, or I want to run a half marathon. So as you're ticking off those little things, you're feeling more accomplished, because hypothetically speaking, like look at Marine Corps, it didn't go as planned for me. So I could have said the entire last year was a fail. I could have said it was all a failure because I didn't, that was my A race. I wanted to run this marathon and it didn't work out. That's not a failure. I got to run the Pittsburgh half. I had a PR in the Pittsburgh half, which I don't care about PRs, but a lot of people care about that. And I had a PR because I worked with Victory and I understood what a training plan should look like. I understood why you don't wear a cotton t-shirt on race day. I understood fueling during my run, fueling before my run, hydration and nutrition. And then I biked the bike leg of an Ironman relay. Like I had so many other things that maybe weren't my A goal, but were things that I did that checked off and were huge accomplishments. So when my A goal didn't really go to plan and it didn't look the way I wanted it to, it's okay, because I don't see that as a failure. Like if you fail, try to find the way that it's not a failure and let that become something that makes you hungrier, and
It's a learning
maybe
curve.
because of that marathon, like maybe I could have turned around and been like, you know what, I'm done running marathons, like half of my distance, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, it's okay. Like the only person you're competing against yourself is yourself. Like
Right.
it's you against you against your own goals, you against the you of yesterday and the day before and the month before. So you're only as much of a failure as you're going to let yourself be. Set up little goals on the way to the big goal and tick them off, accomplish them. And if you fail, it doesn't have to be a failure.
You said it all right there. I mean, that's if you're looking to get in endurance sports, that is the perfect advice to listen to, because it's going to happen. You're going to have those bad races. You're going to have those bad runs, those training sessions, and to know that you still have like that big goal at the end of the year. That's what it's about. But also, that big goal might not go the way you planned it, and you just got to take the fact that you've grown so much in those training runs, and the people that you meet. The like you said, learning not to wear a cotton t-shirt, because I feel like that's everybody's done it. Everyone's done it. I've learned the I learned the hard way many times. So I think that is very, very solid advice. And I just want to say thank you guys for coming on the podcast, and even with your kids and that like the interruptions, that I love that, because
Sorry.
Yeah.
that shows people that we are real people. One thing I wanted to show people with my podcast or anything that I do, I want to show you transparency throughout the way. Everybody's not at that picture perfect levels when you meet them. And I think our stories, the real stories, these are the ones that need to be told, because this is going to inspire everyday people like us to go out there and lace them up and toe that line and go for some goals. So I really love the fact that you guys are real, and you're honest with your lives, and you keep it 100, as I like to say. So thank you guys for coming on, and let's do it again. Let's do it again sometimes.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to
I
I
love
want
Yeah.
that.
to see how
More
your
goals.
next year goes, and and for me, I'm gonna keep going, and we're gonna keep bringing the realness to people. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, thank you so much for letting us. And I think
Yeah.
that's the other big thing that we learned this year too, was who you surround yourself with is going to make a difference, because so many of our friends, we love them, they're great, but so many of them don't understand what we do and what we're trying to do. And they were just like, oh, you guys are so skinny now, or oh, you guys are only eating like rabbit food. No, like we're trying to change our lives. And I'm not ever going to force anybody to do what I'm doing, and I'm not going to tell them they have to do it. But having a tribe, the
yes,
people who understand what you're doing and support it, and people like you who we can talk to and be like, yeah, man, like God, my kid woke up at 2 a.m. This is rough. That has been, we're so thankful for people like you and for what you're doing too.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on, and I really appreciate it. Like I said, let's do it again. And give your guys your socials and where people can find you if they want to give you a follow and just reach out.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm Val Runs for Margs, number 4. Val Runs for Margs.
S Porter 8 on Instagram.
Yeah, so lots of family stuff, lots
Yeah.
of running stuff, lots of entertaining things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And I'll put your Instagram in the notes so people when people can find you and give them a shout out and yeah, just thank you and I just appreciate you guys for letting me share your story.
No,
Absolutely.
thank
I
you so much.
appreciate it.
And we
Thank you.
love making new
Yep.
running friends. So please, yes.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming on, and I will check you guys later.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks
Thank you.
again.